Okay,
So,
great.
good evening, dear participants. Welcoming you all for the ninth day International Research Methodology Workshop. Today, we will be having our expert, Anuja ma'am. She is having consultancy in Mumbai. When we are working for Nirmala Niketan, I got a golden opportunity to talk with one of the faculty. And she has suggested me, Bennett, she is an expert in proposal writing. Then please make use of her. So, while I was approaching ma'am, without any hesitation, she told me, yes, sir, I will be coming taking the classes for the 3 days. So today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, ma'am will be taking the class, an entire class, full class on uh, proposal writing for the funded projects. So as I told you very clearly yesterday itself, before we came, she came. She logged in by 5:50 itself. So ma'am will be very strict on timing. She'll start by 6, end by 8. We won't take your time. Similarly, what was that? We also won't give our time because we have spent huge money for this international event for all the participants to get at least to learn something. We won't say that we will learn everything, but we will learn something. That something is better than nothing. This is our concept. So based on that, we are running. And today, ma'am will be taking the classes without any delay. We will hand over the session to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this introduction. Namaste and good evening to everyone. It is great pleasure to be here today. As Sir introduced, I am going to be there for next 3 days with you all. And I'm glad to be here. So I'm going to take you through and show you how we are going to divide today, tomorrow, and day after. Okay, because whatever topics I was given, it is important that we spend enough time in understanding the basics, and then we move towards, as Sir said, aspects about proposal writing, which is very crucial in today's day and age. So what we are going to do is we are looking at day 9, which is today. We're going to look at research problems, research gaps, how to identify research gaps, formulating research questions, objectives, and hypotheses, aligning research design to research objectives, and we will look at step 1 of which is key to research and also proposal writing, and we will link it all, which is the review of literature, which is very important step. Tomorrow we will look at step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and a little bit on the IRB protocols. So this will again be looking at a mix of methodology, call, quant, mixed methods, how to pick up mixed methods, what are the ways in which one can decide that, what is the sampling techniques, what kind of samples, and how to figure out your different data collection mixed methods. Data analysis, what is currently available in the field, how we have moved from traditional data analysis to what is available currently with all the tools available, and how to make our report extremely interesting for the reader, for the funder, for the stakeholders, for everyone. So that will be tomorrow. And day after, we'll be concentrating exclusively on proposal writing. So how we want our proposals to look at internationally, which appeals to international and national funders, how to figure out what is available in the market, how the budget needs to be linked, what the timelines looks like, how to prepare a Gantt chart, how do we prepare a log frame. So all of that, and also come off some of the reasons which was there as topic given, what are the common reasons, which comes more from my experience in this field. So common reasons of proposal rejection and how to avoid the same, and proposal presentation, peer review, and final submission. So this is how we divide our 3 days. Yeah. Okay. Yes, hello.
तो पूछियो ना बाबू से अपने आप चेंज करके तो नहीं बैठो.
Somebody have their mic on. Can you please turn it off?
ये मेरा ओपन क्यों नहीं हो रहा? पूछ तू.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have muted the mic for everyone. We have locked the meeting. Now you can unmute yourself, ma'am. You
Okay.
can unmute yourself, ma'am.
Yes. Is it okay?
Yeah, fine, perfectly. Sorry, ma'am.
No worries. Okay. Okay, to begin with, we are going to look at foundations of research. I know we are all working. We are also, um, uh, I'm told we are assistant professors. We are already teaching staff. We are also professionals as well as students. So some of it might be a little boring, a little revision. But as it is important when we reach to day three, which is very crucial, it is important that we kind of take this 6 hours, 4 hours, I would say, today and tomorrow, to kind of relook at our theories, certain things which we don't want to miss and always stress upon, and certain fundamentals which kind of do not change over a period of time at all. We might have AI tools and we might have different ways of doing review of literature. But as a researcher, what remains as core hasn't changed over a period of time. In fact, it has gone more and more sophisticated. So let's start with the basics. To begin with, I would also want to formally introduce. So my name is Anuja. I am based out of Mumbai. I head an organization called Good Gig Consulting. I have a small team who works with me. We work in policy research space. Policy research is one of our areas, and another area is assessment. So when I say assessment, these are evaluations which we do as baseline evaluation, midline, as endline evaluations. That's what I've been doing. And my background is MSc Clinical Psychology and MSc and MA in Development Studies. So at Development Studies in TISS is where research was one of the exposure. And after that, it has always stayed as part of my work life. And exclusively in last 6 years, as part of Good Gig, it is an offering to whomever we partner with. So research is something which is very close to my heart. I am not a PhD and an expert like many of you in the room, but so please, kind of, if I alter anywhere, I would apologize in advance for the same. So this comes with yes, years of experience. Number one, it comes with also knowing that what the other side. So on other side, when I say stakeholders or clients or something where we go and make our case, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what is questionable. So with all kind of experience and what I bring for the next 3 days here. Okay, yeah, so to begin with, what's a research problem? Within the broad thematic area, research problem sits as those areas which are not widely studied, needs further testing, or has conflicting results. Now we can research everything under the sun, be it from how bees function, or what is a pollution problem or a population problem. So everything under the sun is what I remember my professors also teaching me, that you can actually study everything under the sun, but would we call that as a good research problem? That answer is no. So in order to arrive at a good research problem, it has to be feasible, significant, and focused. Feasible, it needs to be possible in limited time and resources. Significant, why? Because it needs to be actively contributing to societal issues. Focused, why? Because it need not be and cannot be very broad. It needs to be focused at a um, particular subtopic, and we'll see in further slides how that funneling can actually happen. So how does one identify a research problem or a research gap? And why does one need to do that? So, sorry, I'm going back here. Significant is one of the things which is often challenged in today's world. So if you know, there has been a wave in which a lot of bureaucrats have been able to question that what kind of PhD topics students today are taking. and is it actually contributing to societal issues? So if you ask me, my take is sometimes research is not just about significantly forward-looking step. Sometimes it might be reiterating or also kind of years of studies into a certain level, and you kind of your input, small input as research can reiterate what is actually other scholars would have contributed in the area. So the significance is quite perceptive and I would say quite controversial as well. So yeah, coming back to how to identify a research problem. So why does one get or delve into a particular research area? Is there is an evidence gap, there is lack of evidence, or there are contradictory findings, there is a knowledge gap. So when I say a knowledge gap, there are no conclusive results which has come out of a tested hypothesis. A process or a phenomenon is not clearly understood. There is a population gap. Now, a particular research could have been done in a particular region or a setting, but it is not done, a particular group, sorry, but it is not done with, say, another heterogeneous or a homogeneous group. There is a methodological gap. So now we'll see in methods what kind of methods are used. There are mixed methods, there are qualitative methods, quantitative methods. So it might be a research a gap in methodology. Geographical gap, what I was mentioning is population. Geographical gap is usually when it is tested only in a limited geography and not taken across, say, multiple states or multiple districts or multiple countries. It could be that big as a landscape. Practical gap, there is a disconnect with real world issues and theorization. So this is where we actually see people getting into research areas. You know, these are the reasons in which why people. Now, how does one formulate research questions? So this is what I was mentioning, funneling. How does this happen? Um, Now, as I said, that everything under the sun can be studied, and one needs to actually get into funneling of research topic. So how does it happen is when you identify a broad area, you look at a subtopic, then you figure out a specialized niche within that subtopic. And then while by formulating your research problem, you look at what you want to study. Is it a conflict? Is it a gap? Is it any of these areas which you kind of have to can contribute in formulating a research problem? So in the next few slides, what we are going to do, and I would actually encourage all of you to at least have a pen and a paper. I know it's going to be difficult in an online setting like this, but we will try as much as we can. So what I'm going to do in the chat here, I'm going to write 5 topics, okay? And why we are doing this is it's important for us to arrive at this area. So, you know, when it is actually the funneling, how to actually identify that research statement is what we are kind of spending our time today. And it is a short 10-minute exercise. I would really encourage everybody to wholeheartedly participate. I'm going to write in the chat box 5 topics, okay? Whichever, I'm not going to tell who takes which topic. It's completely on you to take whatever topic you want to. And I want you to look at this funneling, these 4 areas, okay? And how to actually come here as a research statement, okay? So, okay, I'll give you one to make this little easier for the whole audience and have the maximum participation. We are going to take one I'm going to give you one example, and rest of the 4, I would encourage you to take one topic and write it in the chat box. Okay, so let's look at this funneling again. So this is one example. Okay, So this is what I would encourage everyone in the room to do this exercise. But the topic which I'm going to write is going to be different. This is just an example. Okay, I'm going to read this out. So when you say pollution levels in India, yeah, this is something which is, sorry, I'm using the same thing over and over again. This is something really broad under the sun. Pollution levels in India is in every city. Okay. Now, how do I funnel and bring my research problem statement? Okay. So first level of funneling could be then I'm looking at pollution and pulmonary distress. The pollution causes lung distress, pulmonary diseases. That is what the area of my inquiry, and that's what I want to study. Now, this could also be very broad. I want to again go and narrow it down only for children. So, how it affects children below the age of 10 years, and that too specifically in two cities, which is Delhi and Mumbai. Okay. Now, this is also within this, what my problem statement or what my research statement to make it further sharper, what I'm going to look at, and please pay attention to this, how does seasonal variation of the particulate matter levels in Delhi compared to the annual average in Mumbai? Okay, so now, so what I'm trying to do is I'm actually narrowing it down and making it very specific to my study topic, and that is where the funneling actually happens. So now, what we are going to do, I'm going to stop share for a minute and get into the chat box here, and please read my chat as I'm going to write this. So topics, we are going to look at 4 topics. And the group is free to choose any 4 topic you want. That is not a problem at all. But I'm going to, what I would encourage, take 5 minutes, write down in your copy what this funneling could be, and then type it in the chat box. Okay, so the topics are, you can choose any topic you want. Okay, so topics I'm writing here, the first one is social media and mental health. This is the broad topics I'm writing. Okay, the first topic is this. Second topic is employee and well-being. Third topic is sustainability. Sustainability at the level of, okay, at the level of restaurants. Okay, restaurants in terms of eating. Okay, make it specific. And the fourth topic is, it will be very interesting for teachers here in this group, online versus traditional classroom settings. Okay, so these are the 4 topics. Yeah, I would really encourage the group to take 5 minutes. I'm going to put myself on mute, and we connect again. As soon one is over, please write your 4 funneling. I'm interested to look at how you arrive at your research statement, the last one. Okay. If you have any questions, you can please ask. If you want me to put the slide of funneling, I can do that as well to help you out. As soon as any one of us is over, please write. Take time, no problem. We have 5 minutes for this exercise. Please write your responses in the comment chat only, in any of the topics you choose. I've put the screen here for you to see that what are the steps we are looking at. What I've given you is a broad area, which is there in your chat box. These 4 are the broad areas. How do you narrow it? How do you narrow it further? And how do you arrive at a problem statement, which is specific and smart and researchable? Okay, how do I open the chat box? Okay, it is. Admin, can you help me? Because somebody is pinging that I need to open the chat box. Oh, you guys are not able to write or what? Sorry. Let me figure it out. You can see my chats, right? Everyone?
Ma'am, they also can write, ma'am. They can directly write to you.
Yeah, but I'm seeing, but for everyone it is disabled, they are saying. So there is somebody who's writing to me in different chats. But I can see in different chats. What I want is everybody writing in this chat only.
Yes, ma'am. I got made to group chat only. We got made, ma'am.
Okay. So can someone write here and let me know that you guys can write? Yes, perfect. So this window is where everybody is encouraged to write. And if you're ready, you should write your responses on this window only.
Yes, ma'am. Now someone written her hello, ma'am.
Yes. I want people to write their responses. I
Yes,
want people to write so yeah, now I think it is
okay.
coming. Okay, great. Those people who have joined little late, I'm going to repeat the task again. On your screen, there is a task where we are looking at how to formulate research topic, research statement, and we are trying to learn what the funneling process is. So here in the chat box, the common chat box are 4 topics: social media and mental health, employment and well-being, sustainability related to restaurant eating food, online versus classroom setting. So these are the 4 topics. What I want the group to think for some time and write in this chat box, in whichever topic you pick up, is how do you arrive at your research statement? Yeah. I'm going to write an example. If anyone who is ready, I think we should kickstart. It is now 7 minutes. We'll still have time to think. And if you all have any questions, we can still look at this in detail. But I would encourage at least one of you to share. Okay, I have one very interesting thing. I'm going to copy and paste here in this group. Oh, I cannot copy paste. I would encourage everybody to write it here in this group, please. rather than writing to me individually. That will help everybody to see what you are writing. Mrs. Kaluri, I would really encourage you to write in the comment chat. Similarly, Ms. Anupam, also Nisha. Okay. Oh, they're saying there is no group visible at their end.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Someone having problem. I don't know what happened.
Acha, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Whomsoever can, please write. I'm going to read out one of the response. Somebody has picked up employee and well-being. So when funneling, working hours, effects on physical health, very interesting. Variable working hours, effect on CIA employees. Wow, that's interesting area. And while funneling down further as a research topic, what long-term aspects are affected for CIA workers when they work? I'm assuming it is what kind of long working hours does to CIA workers. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else who wants to share? I'm going to wait another 2-3 minutes. I would encourage at least to look at some more. I have from another one. Okay. Social media and mental health. Interesting. Instagram Reels, which normalizes criminal behavior among youth and mental health. Okay, that's a subtopic. Interesting. And research work mostly focused on social media and its impact on mental health, but this study specifically focuses on impact of human behavior and criminal aspect. Okay, what I would suggest that you have been able to narrow it very further, but when it still comes to a specific research statement, it can be further funneled down. For example, you could look at a specific look at an age group, a specific age group. It could be 14 to 18. It could be just youth, which is 18 plus. So that makes it more specific. Two, you can look at number of hours of exposure of Instagram Reels. Those children or youth who are more or less. So that kind of makes funneling really specific, and that then becomes your research statement. Yeah, but yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Ms. Komal. Do we have anybody else sharing? I'm really thankful who is sharing here very actively, and it shows you are there with me. It kind of also gives me little signals that I'm talking to a large group of 170, and it's kind of difficult for a speaker to not have that resonation sometimes in an online setting. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm going to wait another 2-3 minutes for others to share. Anybody who wants to share on other two topics? Sustainability. So this, I was looking at more sustainability in terms of the food we eat and the wastage which happens at a level of restaurants, and what can be done that, if that is the area of interest, online versus traditional classroom methods. So if anybody wants to. I'm going to show this again, the example again, if that kind of encourages you to think on these topics. That's there on your screen right now, if you can see. That's about pollution levels. I took the group through this example. Similarly, if you can think about making a research statement and funding it down for the topics given in the chat. I'm really looking forward to at least 2 or 3 more responses before we move ahead. I don't know. It's not a very tricky ask. I'm sure we are end of the day and all tired, but some more responses will be really nice. You can write to me individually, because if it is not coming on the group chat.
Ma'am, we are working on that, ma'am. Give me 2 to 3 minutes, ma'am.
No problem, no problem. It is just the first exercise. It's nice if all can be able to write here. Otherwise, I'm able to read individual responses as well. Not a problem. Take your
No,
time.
ma'am, no, ma'am. Give me 2 minutes of time. We are working on it. Something
Sure.
went wrong.
Sure,
We will
sure.
rework, ma'am.
Oh, wow. We have a fantastic uh, thing coming on. Thank you for sharing. Sindhuja is sharing this. Okay, I'm going to read sustainability in restaurants and eating. How restaurants deal with vegetable and fruit waste from cooking. Fantastic. Now, organic waste management is for the further funneling in, and you're going to look at organic waste management of restaurants with greater than 100 people seating capacities in Delhi. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. This is a great way of funding. So what
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
Hope it is rectified, ma'am.
Okay.
I think it is rectified from our side.
Okay. If
Yeah.
if somebody writes in, I will come to know whether it is rectified
Yeah.
or not. Yeah. So yeah, so what I was saying is why we are spending some time in understanding how well should be our research area is, in my little experience, is when we go with too broad an area, we kind of don't even reach what we want to investigate, and we can't even actually figure out how we are going to assemble the research findings into something so specific for making a change, making our point, getting a research report together, or any on any of it. So this step is something which is extremely crucial, and it goes up to the level of even proposal writing. So what we will be looking at day 3. So hence, I'm kind of also patiently waiting for a couple of more responses to come. We have a response coming from Shika Shukla. Thank you for sharing. And if I may read, online versus traditional classroom may funnel down to mobile learning and traditional mobile mobile or e-learning or mobile learning and traditional classroom learning, and it's further funneling down to comparative study or pedagogical competency of teacher in mobile based learning and versus classroom traditional learning. Yeah, that's a great comparative study, and you could do fantastic way in which your sample can be tested as well as kept into different boxes of comparative research. Yeah, this is fantastic funneling down. You can further make it maybe specific to say government school or private school, or look at both side, or geographically funnel it, or maybe limit it to say 100 schools. So if you that bring it down to that level, it is turning what you're trying to make is more, all the more specific. Okay. Mm, we have one more response: impact of effective use of social media on developing self-esteem among mid-adulthood. Yes, that's a that's also a great way of funneling of social media and mental health. Thank you for sharing. um, Okay, so what I'm going to do in next 3 to 4 slides. So yes, so keep this exercise with you. It's not something which you want everybody to go and share, and only then you have kind of understood there is no checks here. But what I was actually intending to do is that we sit with this with this thought of how to do funneling. Okay, that's very important step in research and investigation, and more time we spent here, it kind of helps in review of literature. It further helps in defining your scope and boundaries. It also further helps um, in 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 also scoping and boundaries, in the sense you don't go beyond what is not asked for you to do in a stipulated period of time or resources as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to move ahead on my slide deck, and let's move ahead and look at these questions. And I've kind of put the funneling examples together for all four, and I'm going to read it for you. Thank you everyone who has participated. We have a response from Vidushi as well, for everybody to also read it. It's interesting to look at urban area and adolescents 13 to 18. Nice. Thank you, Vidushi. Okay. So let's look at 1 second. I'm going to adjust my screen a little bit. Okay, so example of narrowing down. So example of narrowing down for the topic of social media and mental health. So social media, so first level of narrowing down is social media and mental health for Gen Z students. So as we know, their influence of social media is great. Now, within social media, again, we are looking not as social media is lots. It could be YouTube, it could be Twitter, it could be Instagram, it could be anything. So what we are again filtering down and looking at is impact of Instagram on body image for Gen Z female college students. So what I've done here is I'm not just looking at all Gen Z population. I'm looking at a particular gender within an influence of one particular social media. Okay. And my research topic then can funnel further into that how daily exposure to fitness influencer. Okay. Now here look at the exposure. Now here even in social media exposure, we have fitness influencers, we have somebody cooking, somebody who's talking about how to wear what kind of clothes, etc., etc. Okay, here I'm further funneling down to a fitness influencer content creator and looking at what it does to mental health of female students at a university level. Okay, so this is where the sharpening can actually come in when you and this is not an easy exercise. You know, it looks very easy. There's a funnel and it's a big topic, and when you reach at the bottom of the topic, it's all smart and specific and fantastic. It's not usually the case like that. This is an iteration where it goes on for several days and sometimes for weeks, and if you get stuck, it's for a month as well. And it is simultaneously with lot of desk research as well. So it's not something which comes automatically and easily. And for the sake of this exercise today, we kind of hurriedly did it, but it doesn't come in. And I acknowledge that it doesn't come in very easily and so quickly. Another example which we spoke about was employee and well-being. Yes, employee and well-being. So if you kind of look employee and well-being, remote work and mental health is one area. Impact of boundary setting strategies on burnout levels on a remote working parent group. Now, so remote work is one thing. Then how remote work and parents who are actually juggling a lot of responsibilities, how does that happen? Further funneling it down to how boundary setting happens in a work setting, in a remote work setting for parents. And if you look at the last funneling, to what extent does a dedicated home office space reduce self-reported burnout and increase task force among remote working parents with preschool age. Now, imagine what is the level of filtering down I have proposed here to do I have brought down remote working parent. Of course, I continued. I have brought it down to preschool because that's the age where there is a maximum reported of juggling of office and workspace and self. And this is self-reported burnout. So, when it is, it is also, this is where also where I'm trying to say that I'm going to maybe use a perceptive study or a self-rating study in order to report what burnout looks like. Yeah. Another example, we're looking at sustainability at a classroom level. Yeah, no, sorry, sustainability at a restaurant level in eating. Um, Reducing food wastage in fine dining establishments. So we know the fine dining, the quantity of food is really like minimally put very beautifully on the plate. But in order to uh, come at that, a lot of food is wasted is the hypothesis, and impact on flexible portion sizing on post-consumer plate wastage, and does a small place. So if you look at this last research question, does a small plate customization significantly reduce the volume of organic scrap collected from tables in casual dining chains? So that comes to be very specific, looking at small plate, volume, the scrap collection at each table, and what then further wastage can actually lead to. Online versus traditional classroom, I narrow it and bring it to STEM courses. Further, if I go down, impact of peer-to-peer feedback loops in perceived isolation among first-year STEM students. Now, STEM, as we know, it's 4-year course, but I'm specifically looking at first year. And then to what extent does integration of mandatory weekly review correlate with the sense of belongingness of course persistent among non-traditional introductory. See, this is now again filtering down to calculus. If this is even not done here, even if I pick up the first year engineering students and belongingness to the course and persistent, it can still work as a sharp way in which I narrow my research problem to. So yeah, um, so going further, what we saw was an exercise on funneling, and what is it that good research when it is formulated, what are the characteristics of it? So if you look back into our funneling exercise and what feedback also had to give with some people who actually wrote in the chat box, that we want um, that we end up focusing on a single problem or an issue when we're looking at a research issue. Again, from under the sun, we pick up one strand, one thing which we want to look at. We use researchable primary or secondary sources in order to funnel this out. It's a problem or a statement which we can question in a particular time frame along with practical constraints. So when I say practical constraints, it could be resources, it could be time, it could be your energies, it could be what you need to study in a particular time frame, be it a team of 1 or 5 or etc. It needs to be specific enough to answer thoroughly. Also, it needs to be complex enough. So this is quite tricky. So when I say, when we started with pollution levels, um, my research problem cannot be as simple as something which is already available in. So I can, my research statement could also look at last month 1 month pollution levels in city of Mumbai. Now that is something which is already available as a secondary research in a formulated graph and is already a public knowledge. So I cannot make it so, yes, it is specific, but is it simple or complex enough to be a research problem? So one has to also smartly navigate into how specific you want to be and how complex it can be in order to define as not just a question but a research question. So that is where a wise researcher kind of puts um, uh, puts the weight into that, how complex or how simple can it be. And of course, relevance and your contributions to society is something which you constantly keep looking at. Okay, I have a couple of chats pinging. I'll quickly look at it. Oh, no problem. Somebody's telling. So no problem, no problem. Okay, I'm going to continue the slide. Okay, now, okay, this is the next step. How does one formulate hypothesis? Many teachers and doctor and PhD students, this is again going to be revision, but we are going to quickly look at it. So formulating a hypothesis is a process of creating a tentative, testable explanation for a phenomenon or a prediction about relationship between variables. Variables are two types, independent, dependent. And when we define a hypothesis, it's just trying to look at a phenomenon or a prediction about these two relationship between these variables. So defining research questions, conducting preliminary research, which is the review of literature, identifying variables, drafting the statement, and defining falsifiability. These are the steps in which we arrive at hypothesis. What is null and what is alternate hypothesis? Null hypothesis is the status quo. So it's kind of a way in which there's no difference due to your intervention or due to your treatment or due to your treatment given. So it assumes that any observed difference is due to just by chance and not as an effect of result of what you are actually giving as a treatment to the group. So for example, caffeine consumption has no effect on students' memory recall scores. So when you say, so this is kind of status quo, this has got no effect, caffeine consumption has got no effect on student memory is what your null hypothesis state. So the purpose of doing this in statistics is actually you kind of try and reject your this hypothesis in order to prove your results, whether they are significant or non-significant. Alternatively, what alternate hypothesis is actually is you kind of do your actual prediction. It is kind of stating that your relationship or between variables exist, and it is not due to just chance factor. Your intervention has effect. So if you take the same example, in a null hypothesis, caffeine consumption has no effect on students' memory or recall scores. But when you look at alternative hypothesis, caffeine consumption affects students' memory recall scores. It could be by whatever percentage or whatever. This is what alternate hypothesis means. Yeah, we all have gone through this multiple times, and very fundamental, very important to research questions. So what are these types? We could look at directional, non-directional, simple, complex. Okay, I'm going to stick to the same example of caffeine consumption. So directional, this is specific direction in an effect of, say, increase or a decrease. So students who drink caffeine with with a higher memory recall scores than those who don't. So this is again, you're kind of specifically looking at increase or a decrease. Non-directional, see, this kind of looks at it is better or worse. There will be significant difference, but it does not necessarily predict in the way where it is going on an increase side or a decrease side. There will be significant difference in memory scores between caffeine users and non-caffeine users. The simple one looks at like one relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variable. Drinking coffee improves test scores. This is as simple as one variable is drinking coffee and second variable is test scores. Okay. Complex one. Now here are multiple variables which come into play. Drinking coffee and getting 8 hours of sleep improves test scores more than coffee alone. So when it goes to the level of analysis, when we look at multiple analysis, ANOVA and ANCOVA, we kind of mute one variable to see how a single variable affects the other. So that's where the complex the interactions come in. So how to further what we saw till now is how we kind of arrive at research funneling, research statement and objectives, and that is where we kind of what is it that we kind of reach to. So if research objectives is where you aim to reach, a good research design is the map. It's a kind of a blueprint. It's for a scientific study to kickstart. So what are these types of research designs? Okay. Again, for people who have already done theory, this is going to be a lot of revision today, but I urge you to stay with the group and share your experiences in chat if you have alternate experiences or something you want to add. Okay, so research designs are broadly categorized by the overall approach. We have experimental, we have experimental, we have correlational and descriptive. So experimental research design, it establishes a cause and effect by manipulating IV and observing its effect on the TV in a control setting. Quasi-experimental design, it is similar to the experimental design, but it kind of lacks random assignment. It often uses a real-world setting when randomization is unethical or impractical. Correlational is looking at measurement of strength and direction of one variable on another without manipulating. It's directly looking at correlations of one variable, one IV on DV. Descriptive research design, it aims to accurately describe the characteristics of trends of population, the what, where, and when, rather than explaining the whys. We're going to look all these four in detail in the next couple of slides. Okay. Okay, so this is a method. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, experimental design. To establish a definitive cause and effect relationship. Now, this requires a control group and a randomly assignment to ensure that the groups are identical before the experiments begin. Now, here is an example. So, imagine there are 200 people who can't sleep, and there is a clinical trial for a new sleep medication which is to be used for this. So now these 200 people who can't sleep are randomly assigned to say group A or group B. So randomly assigned, so randomly divided into two. So group A actually receives the pill, the sleeping pill, the new medication, and the group B receives a placebo. So placebo is something where you're given a pill, but that pill is not actually a pill, but it's just a sugar pill or just a pill without anything. And then their sleep cycles are monitored. So what is the outcome? The medication caused an average increase of 2 hours deep sleep for people, the 100 of them who actually received the pill, and rest then the placebo group, which is the 100 who actually took just a placebo pill. So that's a strict experimental design, and this is done in clinical trials. This is done into also into social groups where you kind of and these kind of trials usually requires an IRB process to be there, where we are actually looking at behaviors and we are dealing with humans. So that is where also the IRB process comes in play. Let's look at quasi-experimental design. So here the goal is to test the cause and effect relationship in real world setting where you can't actually randomly assign participants or group. So basically due to ethical or practical reasons. So testing a new AI-based tutoring program in a high school. So one classroom uses the AI tutor that's called the treatment group, while the other classroom uses the traditional group, which is the control group. And then you kind of compare the final scores. The students, the outcome, the probable outcome could be the students using the AI tutor scored 15% higher than the traditional group, though the pre-existing differences between the classes may exist. So this is not as strict as an experimental design when you actually use a randomized way to this thing. You're kind of looking at one classroom with versus the other classroom and giving two different treatments to two different classrooms. Correlational design and descriptive design. Let's look at correlational design to determine if there's a relationship between two variables and how strong that relationship is. So this is, this is very widely used design in social research as well. It is to looking at, if I can give you examples, how well students perform when a particular web-based course is introduced, how well a group when they're introduced to a training, a farmers group when it's introduced to a training, how well is the course. So this correlation design is something which is very widely used. An example we can look here is collecting income data and happiness scale scores from 500 participants and looking at Pearson's correlation coefficient. This is widely used coefficient correlation. And outcome could be as the annual income increases, the self-reported happiness scores also tend to increase. This is clear-cut looking at if you are treating one variable, there is a clear-cut increase, decrease seen in your dependent variable. Descriptive design, to describe the current status of variable or population, it answers what is rather than the why is. So an example we could look at a study measuring the average amount of time university students spend in social media per day. So a structured survey is sent to 1,000 students and they kind of are reporting their screen times. And maybe there is a scale which is used as Likert or a description or free listing. So those kind of methods of questions can be used in a 10 to 12 questions or a 15 question. And this design can help you maybe have an outcome of how students spend an average, what kind of average number of hours do students spend in social media. So yeah, so if you ask me very frankly, so what I do at my consulting, so I have my colleague, she is the knowledge lead, and she is expert in research, and she often takes the research design call whenever we start the project. So when it comes into proposal writing, especially in a setting where I work, this comes when we are giving a proposal to our client, and when we are looking at how are we going to collect the data. So research design is a very important component. This is and after this will be sampling. So for sampling, we are going to come tomorrow in detail when we look about quantitative, qualitative methods, tools, and sampling. We're going to look in detail tomorrow, but I just want you to stay here and see how this area is extremely important and what kind of design you are going to overall look at when you're proposing your study. So in my setting, usually it is an evaluation, for example, and it has gone, a program which has gone, and a CSR program, for example, it is ongoing from last 2 to 3 years, 2 years to be specific, and we are trying to look at how the program has done at the end of 2 years. So if this is what I have to evaluate, what kind of design will I look at? Say, for example, if I'm looking at students, or maybe I'm looking at farmers, or where I'm looking at both women and children as main group. What is that research design to arrive at what kind of investigation would help me to arrive at the results? And this is on the basis of the so-called small information which we have in terms of RFP. So as you all know, there is an RFP which is ruled out, and on the basis of that, we have to give a proposal. So the details which are given in RFP is all sometimes very little, sometimes very nicely descriptively. If it is very nicely descriptively done, a good research proposal is often done pretty well. If it is very scanty information, we kind of have to take a lot of assumptions. And I wouldn't say it is not possible. It is still possible to do a good research proposal then. And this design, this whole, I would say, structure to which what you want to go ahead with this then becomes extremely important. Okay. Okay, now, yeah, so I'm going to take a short pause here and open it to the group if you guys have any reflections or questions till now. And after that, we are going to spend another 30-40 minutes in understanding what happens in step one. Okay, so I'm going to pause. We have about 5-10 minutes. And I'm going to go back to either to the chat or somebody who wants to unmute and share what you guys feel in the sense of how it is going. Is it useful, not useful? Is it getting revised? Is it going back to a lot of basics? Yeah, so please give me some feedback here before we move ahead to the next segment. Next segment, we are going to look at step one, which is very critical step of um, review of literature. And then I can share my experiences on how we do review of literature. Yeah, any reflections? Any reflections till now? I would really encourage people to type it here. Now the chat box is open, and if you can share your experiences also, it'll be nice. And just kind of take like 2 minutes to have some water and wait for your responses if it's okay. Okay, there's a full house here. I can see 178 people logged in. So thank you all who have come a little late also, not a problem. So anybody wants to share anything? Okay, I'll make it easy. If in the chat box people can write what is the last okay, okay, somebody is okay telling me हम थोड़ा हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं. हाँ, हम हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं बीच बीच में, not a problem. Okay, there is one in correlational design. A population with higher income have higher reported happiness. Doesn't it prove that one causes the other? It does, but as I said, there is a Pearson coefficient which calculates what is the level of correlation. So when it is strong, it is moving towards 1. When it's lower, it's moving towards 0.01. So that is where you actually look at the effect of one on other and how strong is it. So if I've been able to answer to your question. हिंदी भाषा का प्रयोग मैं कोशिश करूंगी because I don't know if everybody will understand Hindi in the group, but मैं हाँ बीच बीच में कोशिश कर सकती हूँ. Dr. Gajendra, thank you for pointing this out. हाँ, तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि लास्ट if the group is okay to share, what is the last research engagement you have been involved in? And what is the topic like? If the group is okay to share. आपने लास्ट कौन सा रिसर्च एंगेजमेंट किया है? मतलब कौन से टॉपिक में, कहाँ, कौन से एरिया में, आपके एकेडमिक एरिया में या फिर आपके प्रोफेशनल एरिया में, या फिर एज अ प्रोफेसर आपने कहीं किसी स्टूडेंट को गाइड किया हो, या किसी भी एक एरिया में कोई एक रिसर्च टॉपिक जो आपने आपने देखा हो, जिसके साथ आप शेयर करना चाहें कुछ? ओके, आई don't see people actively writing, but okay. Oh, CSR, okay, CSR project देखे हैं, okay, thank you. CSR काफी मैंडेट रखता है अभी कि आपको असेसमेंट करना जरूरी होता है, okay. Anybody else who wants to share anything? Can I move ahead? Okay. Occupational health. Miss Lakshmi is writing occupational health, women work in unorganized sector. Wow. So this I'm assuming it is occupational safety and health aspects of women who are working in unorganized sector. Wonderful. Recently written a research paper on guided criminology students as a supervisor. Oh wow. Wow. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. Dr. Shinam Batra is artificial intelligence tools, usage of descriptive technologies in teacher. Oh wow. This is quite new an area and such an important contribution in the area of research to do this. Thank you, Dr. Batra, for sharing this. Between plurality and uniformity, social media, wedding culture, and reconfiguration in Indian ethos. Oh, that's quite a complex one. Wow. Wow, it's so good to know all these varied issues. I would want to share mine. So we did, so I'm going to write it down. So we looked at interactions between nutrition and OSH. This was a policy research, and this we've been looking at from last 3 years. No, not three, I would say about 2 years. And it was supported by an international organization. So I looked at that, and that was a study which went on for 2 years. It was policy research, a little bit of ground research, which was done in some factory settings here in India. And the knowledge product then got submitted, and we are just about finishing up with last policy briefs and the presentation decks just to finish this off. Oh, Dr. Sultana is right, sharing career options awareness and self-efficacy among secondary students, school students. Wow. Okay, lovely. Train students about impact of digital media in new room. Okay, thank you, Rupa. Okay, thank you. I'm getting to know your backgrounds a little bit with you sharing this. It's a large group, so this really helps me to stay with the group. So thank you for this. Okay, so we're going to move forward. Okay, this is the step one of research, um, which is about doing a thorough review of literature, ROL. Okay. So in the past, and the seniors in this group will really resonate uh, very well with me when I say this, and this is how this is how we started. This is how I started my master's thesis in physical libraries, borrowing card catalogs, and accidentally finding some great book or an article and kind of correlating it. You kind of reading every abstract to see what is the relevance to your topic, and you kind of also summarizing what author one has to say vis-a-vis what author B has to say. And during that time, the challenge was actually to find enough resources. This is where where I would easily say most of the researchers were sitting 15 to 20 years back, and this is where our stories were. What we are studying, what we are sitting today, is we are sitting with a lot of tools on our hands and lot of internet search to support us. So we have Google Scholar, we have PubMed, we have JSTOR, we have meta filters like and nor or not. This I experimented only recently, and kind of I did not know how to use this very well, but in one of the research work we did that. We have AI tools like Semantic Scholar and Elicit and Connected Papers, which can summarize articles fantastically. There is so much of heavier emphasis on systemic reviews and meta-analysis, which is there with us. And now in today, we are actually sitting, we are no longer sitting with a challenge to find enough resources. We are sitting here with a challenge that we have so much of search throws at one go. And the challenge is here now, how are we going to filter the noise? And because everything is getting published at such a rapid this thing, and is also quickly available to us for reviewing on clicks. So yes, we are sitting at something which is which is quite challenging, because not because of, say, dearth of enough resources, but how to filter so much of noise. Um, so yes, it generally it can get quite overwhelming. It can also get into the space of of whether you are moving in the right direction or not, whether you are looking at um, something which is done to death. Maybe are you going to input anything new? Are you going to mm, contribute anything new, or are you just adding to the noise? So this can be a very overwhelming process, and usually it is something which every researcher has to grow through in the process of searching and organizing and synthesizing. And it's kind of a loop which also doesn't stop in one linear way. It is not one answer which one kind of derives and goes and finds it into a one linear way. Okay, this is step one, step two, step three. It is kind of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But as we are also here with a lot of tools, it can also be of lot of benefit to us if we are able to focus more on organizing and the synthesize part. Okay. So here are certain ways, and some of it what I have used and kind of has helped me also. I'll share some of my examples on how what I've recently been able to do. So snowball method, there is a backward search method and a forward search method. So check references, list of great papers and foundational studies can be looked at. Cited by is Google Scholar, through which it has been introduced and it is used into. So you kind of have a loop and you go on into the search methodology, synthesis matrix. So they just don't read out, it maps out. So there's a grid in which it appears. So it's usually a cost reference between author and another author, and it looks at key themes and variables. So this matrix kind of looks not just at an author level, but also as a key theme and a variable level. Uh, Tagging also works pretty well, because here you are looking at when you can actually narrow down your search on the basis of methodology, on basis of your theory or results, and you can use a reference manager to tag your papers by methodology or theory or by results. And as by databasing tagging, you can actually narrow down to what you want to get into. So a mix of all three is usually it works pretty well. So what I widely use is definitely Google Scholar is something which in my area of work, which is not academic research but more industry based research and assessments. Um, in policy research space, of course, the thematic synthesis matrix and something which I also spoke about, and then or the meta filters of and, or, and not. That has worked very well uh, for me. So this too is something which I go back to. There are areas where I get stuck. Some of the paid journals articles are not downloadable. I kind of then at that point of time reach out to my academic colleagues at Tata Institute of Social Science or somewhere who they are teaching work, and I kind of get their help to get me those articles. Usually it's easy to find. Um, so yeah, so the 5 C's. This is something which it's kind of sounds very basic again, but I keep looking at it, and it kind of also helps you on a daily basis. What are these to look, because it can get so crowded, so the way we work is one of us take a role as a lead researcher, and it is such an exhaustive exercise that when you work in team, and this is again from my experience, when you work in team, you have a little bit of a breathing space when you share your review with your colleague, and then it's between me and my colleague. If somebody is a lead researcher, takes that lead, shares it, we have our own layering which comes in. Sometimes it is also when we propose to our client, we have a filtering process in which we propose that the review of literature is done by two researchers. So when you propose that as a layering, you kind of are also assuring that it is not just the metadata reviews which are going blindly by, done by 1% or one, but error of that search is also taking care of it when there is another researcher doing the same exercise as your lead researcher is doing. So 5 C's of writing a great review: cite, keep it organized, but focused on findings, not just on author's name. So XYZ author stating this. Compare a group researcher who found similar results. For example, Smith says this vis-a-vis Jones, which has to argue in a certain way. So this goes into a comparative mode. There is another important C, which is contrast. It highlights whether actually the drama is, it is very interesting to see who agrees. For example, Smith agrees vis-a-vis Jones disagrees. Why do certain same settings has different results? Or was it because it was used in different methods, or a different sample, or different geographies, or different lens of looking at the same problem? Critique, don't take every paper as something which is fantastically scientifically done, but rather look at for smaller sizes, sample, outdated data, and bias funding. So this is kind of helps you to eject what you not to go into. Sometimes what to go into and what not to go into equally works parallelly well. So this is something, having that critical lens of what to include in your review of literature also it becomes very important when you weed out what you don't want to include into. Connect, this is the most important step on how does all of this lead to specifically to to what you have to study. So site compare and contracts, I would say, is where you actually look at author's contribution, compare one author with other results, and do contrast. Weeding out is where critical analysis does come in very well. And at the end of the day, all of this, if it doesn't connect to what you are studying, then you have to again go back to your research questions, etc., and start the process all over again. So yeah, this is where we are sitting and looking at review of literature. We have little time. We can take up step 2 if the group is okay today. I can take up the step 2 as well. Let's see. Or you have, so give me a sense if we can do a step 2 today, it will be nice, so that we can spend some more time tomorrow in doing an exercise. If one is okay, we can do step 2. So this is where we were in the review of literature. We want to do step 2. I can cover Colli Conti and mixed methods today if everybody is okay. Can someone give me okay. Let me try and see if I can cover this. It'd be nice if we can finish this today. Okay. So this is step 2 of so once you do an extensive review of literature, and research design is also done. Where do we get into? We look at what are quantitative methods and what are qualitative methods. So this is where we will cover till today, and we will stop and we will reconvene tomorrow. Okay. So in quantitative, so again, there are primarily two data methods, which is quantitative and qualitative. So we are going to look at each one in quickly, and what does one particular method offers. Okay. Okay, so surveys and questionnaires, these are the go-to methods, the most popular way in quantification of data. Data collection and tool is a standardized data format, can be executed with large groups. The purpose is to either transform opinions, behaviors, or facts to put it into a measurable numerical data. So what is a key strength of a large scale survey or a questionnaire? It is highly scalable. You can reach to thousands. You can with the CAPI based method, you can actually roll out through a Survey Monkey or a Google survey, or even at a mobile based survey. So these are different ways in which large scale respondents can actually respond in a fairly low cost. And there is standardization. Every participant can exactly answer the same question. It ensures that results are comparable and objectivity is retained. So when you look at what are the primary delivery channels through which a quantitative survey can be rolled out. Web-based, as I mentioned, there is Google survey, Survey Monkey type form. It is best. It is automated data. It has a global reach. You need not to be physically present. Traditional pen and paper based methods. It's a traditional printout survey forms with options, etc. It is best for field research, where you have deployed research investigators on field to collect data. This is done either most of the time face to face, which is used paper. Another way of doing this is also recording your records on mobile, or getting it through SMS. These are short surveys where you kind of click to either give your opinion, or it's a closed-ended yes or no, or it is a rating scale or a scale-based answer. So this is also done for quick thing. Okay, so what goes into a quantitative survey? closed-ended questions. So closed-ended questions are how much did, so this is just an example, how much did our training program meet your needs? So very little is on one side, which is 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. So sorry, it could be other way around. It could be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It could be, so you have to mention that which end is what in a close-ended survey. There's a multiple checkbox. It could be simple yes and no as well. These are questions where you kind of don't have any it's clear cut, like either it is true or false or yes and no. So what are the advantages for a dichotomous question like yes and no or true or false? It is easy to answer. It is great for factual reporting. It can easily pull out how many percentage of people said yes vis-a-vis how many said no. It's clear. It kind of simplifies the survey experience. It's great for screening respondents. Our respondent rates is very high because one who is responding, the completion rates are pretty high. So because somebody is trying to do it in their head, it's like it's just a matter of some time I have to invest here in doing so. So they're easy. Dichotomous yes and no, true or false are quite easy. So are easy rating scales. So now rating scales measure intensity or agreement. So there are some examples here which I pulled out. The pain scale on the scale of 0 to 10, like 0 has like no pain at all, and then between 2 to 4 it is moderate and mild, and then it gets severe, and then 10 is unbearable. So that's the 10-point pain scale rating scale. Here I pulled out an example of a shopping experience. So how was it? So in a survey designing, this is what usually I use this very often because this is kind of one question and sub questions. So it's very interesting. So for example, if I'm just going to give a recent example, development survey, if we're looking at student scholarship. So the question was that how was this, where I put it here. So my leading question was, how was the interaction of you and the implementing partner? Okay, so that was a big question. So in between, in these four things, then multiple question was like, telephonic engagement, how was telephonic engagement, how was email exchange, and how was the response rate? So I could break that one big question into 2 or 3 parameters, and the person who is kind of giving you response is forced to answer all of it. So there is not one broad question. You kind of get specifications into all of it, yet you have made this very simple. Yeah. So this I use this widely when I'm designing surveys, and it's very effective, especially when you're not kind of taking a lot of time of respondents. So this is again measuring a numeric scale and a specific type of a rating scale. So when you're assigning numbers, so when you're looking at numbers, it is a numeric scale. It is type of rating scale, but it is formed in a kind of a number. This is also very widely used as a Likert scale. Strongly agree to. It's a 5-point liter scale is usually what is very widely used. Yeah. So what actually works pretty well is, we have to keep it brief. Longer the survey, higher the drop off rates. We have to kind of, what we usually do. I develop a survey and I do a test. I send it to someone within my team and do a test, and we do a counter. But in the sense we time it to the counter, that how much time minutes does it take. So it's something which we have to be very mindful of. Avoid leading questions. Yeah, so this is something which, after years of being in research, I still fall into the pit of developing questions which are quite leading, and we have to be mindful in order to what we are seeking as answer should not reflect in our question. So it needs to be as neutral as possible, and your survey question needs to kind of also ask different questions, same questions differently, in order to see if there is any biases coming in. Simple everyday words. Survey fatigue is something very important. Also, if you're going back to the same respondent for multiple period of time, that's also quite exhaustive. So that's something which one needs to be mindful of. Pilot testing always helps. Incentivization in social research, there is lot less than in market research. But yeah, that's one thing which works with at least people get excited to give their time in yeah. Qualitative methods, we can look at FGD, IDI, and case studies. This is again something which I have widely used, and I am actually a big fan of qualitative research myself, and in fact, it brings so much of joy in talking to respondents in depth, that you kind of go into uh, supporting all your quantitative findings in a very nice way. So, focus group discussion, FGD. It's a small group. It's done in small groups, usually 10 to 15. It could be as small as 8 to 10 as well. So the goal here is to have enriched and varied opinions and perspectives and suggestions. So what we do before doing an FGD is execute it through a interview guide. We call it as an interview guide or interview schedule. These are loosely framed questions, very different from close-ended questions. These are open questions, and I can give you example in the sense that it focuses more on what do you think, what do you feel, what are your suggestions, what are your opinions about a particular thing. When this was introduced, what did you have more to add or contribute? So these are the questions which normally happens. It involves a moderator and note taker. These days, moderators and note takers role has gone little down. I have also experienced where a lead researcher goes and puts the voice recorder on, and kind of all notes are taken very well and then later transcribed. So the traditional way is definitely moderator and note taker, but it has moved on from there, and it can be done in both the ways. It averagely takes about 45. A good FGD takes about 45 minutes to 60 minutes, because at 5 to 10 minutes you kind of spend in making sure that the group is comfortably seated, etc., etc. Um, so how do you? So one of the questions which I'm often asked, that do you start with FGD, or do you do it after the con survey is over? So there is no right answer to it, if you ask, and there's no right. So when you do a research design, you kind of propose that you would do a con survey first, and then you will support it with. Then you do qualitative survey. So you kind of grade it. Sometimes in a research design, you move this as parallelly. So your team of investigators have gone on field and are doing a field-based survey. When I say field-based survey, it is one-to-one, where they log in a CAPI-based, computer-assisted way of login in the responses. And it's usually a 2 or 3 team goes on field, and when the quantitative survey is over, that is where the FGDs start. So it's a parallel process. Sometimes you design it in a way that it gets your online survey results come in, you review and analyze the online, and then you go on field and you do your qualitative survey. Sometimes you propose it like that, but by the time online responses come in, it is quite late, and you have to kickstart your qualitative study processes. So there is actually no right and wrong answer, but yes, these are important ways in which sometimes, in my experience, it says that if you have executed one tool, you can enrich your other tool. Sometimes FGDs and KIS has helped me look at my survey form in a better way, and vis-a-vis as well. So when you do execute a survey form and you realize that, oh my God, the open-ended small questions in a survey form, उसमें कुछ लिख के आया ही नहीं, मतलब वो ब्लैंक आया या वन स्टेटमेंट आया, वैसे ही छूट गया. तो उसमें आपको you get an insight that you can actually delve into those areas into FGD and KIS in a pretty nice way. So that's the thing. So what happens in an IDI? IDI again, this is done in a one-to-one setting. It can be done like this in a video interface. It can be done on field. On field, it is fantastic. You can execute it. You can actually have observations. You can have small observations also coded in very well. It is guided through again an schedule which is of questions which are open-ended. And so the purpose of IDI is to actually delve into conversations. This goes well into probing into very in-depth way of questioning. So I'll take you through tomorrow in certain ways in which ideas can be done beautifully. So there are small things about where to make pauses, how to agree to disagree, whether to showcase that agreement or disagreement. What are the probe questions? Where are the active pauses which needs to come in? How a patient listener can actually use his or her strength to bring alive the respondent as an active person who is contributing in the whole equation. So it is about bringing alive all those experiences which a normal survey kind of misses in capturing it. So it's a great technique. It again takes about a minimum of 30. In my experience, I kind of do my ideas minimum 30 to 40 minutes is what. And then of course you have a set of questions to lead you, but it's not necessarily that you go one question after another. It's kind of a give you a boundary setting in what you are actually investigating the areas, and you go into with that space. There is another category we kind of say KIIs, and usually this I've seen in my experience that people write IDI oblique KII in the same statement without kind of understanding what is the difference between IDI and KII. I'm just taking a minute in pointing the difference out. So generally, IDI is conducted with anyone who has relevant experience regarding the subject. So in our area of research, it will be consumer, it will be patients, it will be students, it will be women group, it will be farmers, it could be anyone. Now, KIS is actually done with expert leaders. So either you're looking at an expert internal stakeholder, or you're looking at an expert external stakeholder. It could be a government official, it could be a director of a program, it could be a expert consultant who has worked on the program expertise. So it is actually looking at a very specific role. Well, IDI is looking at actually your subject in respondents who could otherwise also be respondents for your quantitative survey as well. So IDI it explores your personal lived experiences, as I mentioned in the previous slide as well. It dwells into the areas of why behind personal behavior, or why behind a certain level of opinions, or it dwells further and investigates into bringing out personal lived experiences or personal stories. Whereas KII, it looks at professional insights into a certain things. That is why KIS is done with like in a program setting. I'm just giving an example of educational program. So IDI, I can do it with say students, with maybe a head student group. I can also do IDIs with parents. But key informant interview, I would want to do with say principal, district education officer, DO, I might want to do with a panchayat member who has been involved in the topic of an education. So here we are trying to do in KIIs is you're trying to obtain an expert understanding of either the position is of an expert or of a leader or of an assigned leadership role. That's where the KIIs come in. So yeah, it is very interchangeably used, but the stakeholders are different, and as researchers, we need to be mindful of. Case study. Okay, now case study is something which I have used it, and I kind of I love developing it as well. So what so so when I started as writing my dissertation, or when in college, looking at case study as a methodology, this has developed over a period of time, that case study could be fit into anything. You're writing a report, you write 5 case study, and you bring in the qualitative component. That was kind of my starting point. But as I went ahead deeper into policy research and other areas of investigation, I realized that how powerful can a case study actually be. Now, this is such a opportunity to analytically capsulate your information in a short narrative. So just to give an example about the study which I just mentioned on ocean nutrition. So we studied that topic with a mix of on-ground research, policy research, desk analysis, document analysis, all of it, for about 1.5, 2 years. And towards end of the program, when it came down to actually encapsulating a 60-page study report into one pager. So when I was actually till about few years back, when I was actually getting the wisdom of writing good case studies, winning scenarios programs, or a research research results, to encapsulate and put it in one page was something which I found it maybe challenging. Or I also went with an assumption that these days people don't want to read, they don't want to be spending so much time in understanding the findings in detail. So here is a ready one pager which people will be interested in. What I have understood in my experience, that sometimes this one pager, there's one page case study, or sometimes it is a 4-page case study as well. It depends on what are you actually writing on. It is not it's not about the length of the document. It is how well that analytical information is encapsulated, so in a structured format. So it's often it's a result of what you have been able to do in a long term. Case study is also organizational, like so in a global setting, when we have say India's a particular scheme, or India's SBM, Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, as a big program. So India's SBM 2.0 is just one case in a global setting. Whereas if you're looking at SBM totally as an India level, then you're looking at various other ways in which case study can bring in. Say case study can come in from a nice experiment which is done in, say, Bihar, vis-a-vis what is happening in urban setting in Bombay. So case could be anything in a program setting where the universe is just about looking at scholarship for students. Case study could be the varied 10 cases to look at what kind of student has benefited from what kind of input in what kind of setting, and those then become your cases. So it changes in terms of context, but what stays is it is analytical information which is capsulated. It is not a running information. It's not a narrative. It is arrived through content analysis, narrative analysis, interview with stakeholders, observations, all of it beautifully capsulated into a format. So yeah, this is one of the most powerful tool, and I love using it, and it's kind of enriches the research reports very well. So yeah, this is the step 2. I would pause here and take the rest steps tomorrow to continue, because I know that's a lot to consume, though it is a lot of revision. But yeah, I would stop here and take the next steps tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to tell you what all we are going to cover tomorrow. I'm going to again go back to the slide. Yeah, this is what we were actually looking at today, the step 2, quantitative, qualitative, and mix. We might start again with this little bit of this. We go into sampling, data collection methods, data analysis, and report writing, and IRB is what you're looking at tomorrow and day after proposal. Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing, and if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take else. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. And I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow again at the same time. I know we have finished little in advance, but I think that should be okay. Somebody has requested for the presentation sharing. I will do it with with the authority, and if they find it fine, then they can share it further to the group if that's okay. Yeah. So thank you very much. I also really enjoyed. I really enjoyed little bit of the interaction I had and the topics I got to know, that what all you are actually into social research these days. So it was really very nice, and I enjoyed that bit. I enjoyed that bit a lot. Yeah. So I know a lot of it would be repetitive content for a lot of you all, but as long as we kind of exchange knowledge, it is always great. And going back to basics is always nice. There is an ask inspiring, say thank you, and share resources about writing review of literature. Yes, I can share my PPT and of course share this to the authorities. I would only do that, and I'm allowed only to do that, so they can share it further. Not a problem. Okay, so I'm looking forward to see the group tomorrow. And I'm hoping to do a couple of exercises tomorrow as well. So I would urge you all to please participate, and this will help me get some bit about what you all do. So let's do a couple of exercises tomorrow, and I'll see you all. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Bye-bye. I don't know how to